Ocala.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock, it's time for Veterans News. Hank Whittier is in the studio. Good morning, Hank.
3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks in a row. Good stuff.
It's some sort of record, I think.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Hey, listen, we do have casualties, and we also have a guest with us this morning, plus Jinky's here with us, expecting some other people. But look, unfortunately, I think as of last night, there are well over 100, I think 150-odd police, 115, I believe, police officers killed in the line of duty, and it
Wow.
continues, and this week is no different. And so our law enforcement casualties all killed in action: Deputy Sheriff Dan Glaze from Rusk County Sheriff's Office in Wisconsin, Sergeant Alan Brandt, Fairfax Police Department, Alaska, Police Officer James Brockmeyer, Chester Police Department, that was in Illinois, Police Officer Myron Jeanette, Detroit Police Officer, killed in action, Police Officer Jorge Sanchez, Miami Police Department, Police Officer Sergeant Rod Lucas, Fresno County Sheriff's Department, Deputy Sheriff Scott Williams, Taylor County Sheriff's Office, Police Officer Justin Martin from the Auburndale Police Department, Iowa, and Sergeant Anthony Bermino, Des Moines Police Department. They were, I think he was one of the officers ambushed the other day. So it's sort of like reading, and unfortunately we don't have any Army or military casualties, but it's very close to reading the military casualties we had when Iraq and Afghanistan were going full blast. So all killed in the line of duty, all serving us. Larry.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. Larry, someone makes this all possible. I know someone's paying for the airtime. We appreciate Bob Wines and all those good people selling good plants and trees out there.
Absolutely, yeah. Bob Wines, Community Gardens and Nurseries, who you're referring to, they've been sponsoring Veteran News for a very long time now, and they are at 2610 Northeast 38th Street here in Ocala. When it comes to landscaping, Bob Wines has what you need, everything from small plants to large trees, mulch, fertilizers, so much more. Bob Wines will even deliver, plant, and guarantee their trees. Plus, they offer a 10% discount to veterans. Bob Wines, Community Gardens and Nursery, has been keeping you blooming since 1952.
Outstanding. Good people. Take care of veterans. Veterans get a 10% discount with proof of service. So you can go out to Bob Wines, get a heck of a selection, and pick out something that's going to grow. I told you, even the things I buy grow, which is very unusual. Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Hey, listen, Jinky's here today. Jinky, do you want to mention a couple of the folks who have been helping you out? And we also have a guest, Dan from Meldon Law Firm, is here. I'm going to talk about some veteran-related issues. He's a veteran himself, U.S. Army. We'll get the years. He doesn't look that old, so it must be recent. And let me tell you two things, and while Jinky's looking up her little list. The Purple Sage Restaurant over in Denellen is doing breakfast for veterans on Veterans Day. If And if this is the third, fourth year they've done that, they put out a good meal for veterans that morning. So go on over there and have some breakfast. And then our friends over here at Freddy's Steak Burgers just came in with a lot of complimentary cards for veterans that you can use from November 11th through November. I'll leave some with the radio station. But also, if you go in there and you have some proof that you're a veteran, they will give you a complimentary meal. So from November the 11th on, or they'll give you a card for a complimentary meal so you can get it at any time. That's Freddy's on State Road 200 here. Good people. And also run by veterans.
That's good. Well, thank you for having me here again. And we have a masquerade ball, which is the third annual Magical Christmas to benefit the Marion County Veterans Helping Veterans. It will be held at the Weber Center on December 2, Friday. And we would like to thank some of our sponsors, not all of them, because some of them do not want to be mentioned. So one of them, of course, is the major sponsor is Caliber Home Loans. We also have Automax in Ocala. Linda Harrison with Don Harrison Foundation. We have Stewart Title, Shat McGraw, Triple Crown Homes, Mary Camp Animal Hospital, and Divine. So
Okay.
those are just a few people who help
Very good.
us.
And you just triggered a memory. Linda Harrison's Don Harrison Foundation 5K, 10K run. November the 19th, starts at 6:30 in the morning, and again, there are 5 or 6 charities benefiting from that, and of course, we're one of them. So if you want to run in that, or walk in that, or if you want to volunteer, give my office a call, 433-2320, and we'll get you signed up. It's a good event, and a lot of charities benefit from it, so we appreciate if you'd help out a little bit. And we have Dan. And Dan, I didn't catch your last name, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Hank. Dan Wiseman. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you being here. I know you're an attorney and you're with Meldon and you wrote a book. I know about that. Somebody from your office told me you wrote a book.
Well, it was more like a collection of thoughts over kind of a number of lessons that I've learned over the years.
Before you do that, let me ask you about you
Yes, sir.
joined the U.S. Army as an officer. How long did you serve?
Yes, sir. I actually grew up just right around here, just up the road in Gainesville. And after in high school, I made some friends over here and had a nice healthy rivalry with the folks over at Forest, and
Okay.
so some good memories there. And after high school, I followed on to college at UF, and then I joined up in mid 2000.
Okay, and you served in Iraq?
Yes, I was after I found out that the infantry was the right thing for me and went through a pipeline of schools at Fort Benning. I went to Korea for about a year and a half, which was a great experience, from a soldier's perspective. And then I came back stateside to teach at Ranger School. And right around that time, the war kicked off, and they decided that they needed more lieutenants. So I was pretty much loaned out to the 101st Airborne
Very good.
for basically for the conduct of the ground war. When you read out the list of law enforcement KIA, a few minutes ago, it really brought me back. And I was fortunate that myself and all my men made it back, with all their fingers and toes.
Well, that's kind of
intact.
the first obligation of an officer, bring their guys back whole.
It's something that I feel really fortunate to have had a part of.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your service.
Yes, sir.
We do that casualty list. Some weeks we get lucky and there are none, but whether police officers, firefighters, military, we've been doing it for a long, long time. I like the shows that we don't have them.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite shows.
Well, it's kind of a double whammy for me because after I got out of the infantry and, I guess I had seen too many episodes of Law and Order because I was just, bent for leather on being a prosecutor. And so my wife and I moved to Tampa, and I was hired out of law school by the Office of Statewide Prosecution. And what I ended up doing was kind of focusing on building long-term investigations and racketeering prosecutions
very good.
on
Excellent.
drug trafficking organizations and violent street gangs. And so the byproduct of that was that, kind of like working with great NCOs in the infantry, I got to work with like really high caliber detectives, like the the sort of detectives that get trusted with
All right.
big, long-term, hard-hitting investigations where you're going after people who make things go bang in the night. And, you know, during that 2010 to 2012 period, you really took me right back there a moment ago because, you know, down in the Tampa and Sarasota and Pinellas County area, it seemed like, you know, almost every week or every month, you know, we were losing good law enforcement officers, including some that, you know, that I had become, you know, fairly close with on account of them being, you know, like my witnesses and, you know, people that I worked with on a somewhat professional basis. So I really, you know, you really took me back there a minute ago, and I think that
Well, come in
really-
someday. We don't have casualties. I won't take you back.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that day.
Okay. Listen, you're welcome here anytime because I know you want to talk about how you can help some veterans. I think Larry's got to take a short break, and then we'll come back, and then it's yours.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun. There can be a shower in spots along the coast during the morning hours, the high 80 to 84. Clear to partly cloudy Thursday night, low 60 inland, 66 on the coast. On Friday, intervals of clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 81 to 85. Saturday, partly sunny and breezy. There may be a shower, high 77 to 81. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hey Ocala, the event you've been waiting for is this week at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. This door-busting, money-saving event is the first gigantic truckload sale of the fall, with never-before bargains on azaleas, roses, and much more. Just off the truck, fresh and fabulous dwarf, ever-blooming azaleas, regularly $5.99, just $3.99. Lots of others, including Bob Wine's own Aristocrat azaleas in gorgeous new colors, starting at just $16.99. Just in, Bob has Easy Care Knockout Roses in red, double red, and double pink, just $19.99 for these big blooming beauties. And it's camellia time. Bob has his famous heirloom camellias, just $15 each when you buy 2 or more. If you're a vet, you get a 10% discount for Veterans Day. Check BobWinesCameliaGardens.net, then hurry to Bob Wines on Southeast 38th Street, Ocala. You'll have a November to remember at Bob Wines, same blooming place since 1952.
Veterans are the foundation upon which our freedom is built. Listen to The Source, WOCA, each Thursday at 9 a.m. to Veterans News with Hank Whittier from Vets Helping Vets. You'll hear tributes, information on veterans issues, and stories that will make you laugh, cry, and feel proud. Veterans News always focuses on the military, past and present, and on our first responders. Veterans News is brought to you each week by Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery, keeping you blooming since 1952.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Gene and Debbie would like to thank you for another successful year of business. We want to wish everybody a safe, healthy, and prosperous 2017. We are ready to be of service with our pasture mowing. 352-629-2440. Locally owned and operated. Experienced and reliable. Commercial and residential. Licensed and insured. Powell Gene, Gene, at yahoo.com. 352-629-2440. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. 352-629-2440. Proud United States veteran.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun. There can be a shower in spots along the coast during the morning hours, the high 80 to 84. Clear to partly cloudy Thursday night, low 60 inland, 66 on the coast. On Friday, intervals of clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 81 to 85. Saturday, partly sunny and breezy. There may be a shower, high 77 to 81. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
All right, 19 minutes after 9 o'clock is 68 degrees. Let's return now to Hank Whittier and Veterans News. Hank?
We're back, and thanks for listening. And we got Dan here from Meldon Law Firm. And Dan, listen, you I guess, learned by the School of Hard Knocks and some education about veterans and what issues the veterans need to be concerned about as it relates particularly, I guess, to claims and disabilities or anything else that you want to talk about.
I would say that I was just kind of inspired to put together this, collection of lessons learned on my part after having gone through a thing or two. The first thing was when I got out in that 2004, mid to late 2004 time frame, the GI Bill was, it was what it always was, but it's not quite what it is today. Congress changed the GI Bill, in I think the '09 timeframe, probably because of a lot of the challenges that were, presenting themselves when my generation of folks started separating and, going back to use their GI Bill benefits. And one thing that's kind of given rise to was a desire on my part to really figure that out for veterans and to figure out for veterans, what benefits they're entitled to, how to go about getting them above and beyond the GI Bill, what other educational benefits, that all the registrars should have on lockdown for anybody as soon as they know the guy's a veteran. These are the buttons and the levers that, should be pushed.
What would some of those be, for instance? I mean, this is a...
Sure. There's a number of laws, actually, that have been passed by the Florida legislature that mandate for priority registration for veterans, especially in the context of someone who's a Purple Heart awardee. That is a trigger for a number of additional educational benefits and educational priorities. And one of the, I think, most interesting things that I learned about is that there's basically a veteran's diploma for young folks who went into the service before getting their high school diploma or their GAD, and there's a mechanism that you can avail yourself of to basically get your diploma by virtue of your service as a veteran. And in the first draft of the book that I've put together and that I'm going to continue to work on, which I'll leave with you. There's a lot more details about that and about the other stuff that I've kind of learned over the years.
We were talking before the radio show about disabilities, and I had my own
Yes, sir.
view of how they work or how they don't work sometimes. Are there some common mistakes that veterans made when they decide to file a claim?
I think that one of the first things that everyone needs to think about when you're assessing, your disability claim is the same way as, in the infantry, right, or in the Marines, you never go somewhere without something to write on and something to write with. You're always prepared, and you like to try to have a plan before you just kind of find yourself in the middle of something. Getting all your records and getting a plan of action squared away is probably the best first step. The best second step is, there is a point at which, attorneys can become involved in the VA disability process. It's a very, very labyrinthine, very convoluted, very technical, very difficult process. And basically, after the initial period where a person applies for their benefits, lawyers can get involved later, basically at the appellate stage of things, for lack of a better term. But the best advice I can give folks is I know this is a fact in Alachua County, and I think that it's also a fact here in Marion County. I think that there is a local Marion County Veterans Services Division. I think it's Mr. Askew, Jeff Askew, that runs that.
In his office, yeah.
So these folks, part of their job is to be there for a veteran when a veteran thinks that they have a disability claim, and to help the veteran prepare the paperwork, get their records straight, and actually prosecute that claim, from the ground up level.
Yeah, on behalf of the veteran.
Yes, exactly. And so, rather than go it alone, have a technical problem, and then need to get an attorney involved later down the road and have to pay a lawyer, hey, if you got somebody squared away whose job it is to do this for you, and they're right here with boots on the ground, that should be the first step for a person who thinks that, that they might have a disability claim.
Yeah, I think the common mistake we see is either people try to do it themselves, or no disregard to any of the veterans' posts and chapters, but sometimes they go to one of them and there's a guy sitting at the bar or having a cup of coffee, and they ask them. And quite frankly, that's not what you need to do. You need to get some advice from someone who does this and who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information, but there's also a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
And if you follow the wrong path, you're not going to get your claim, and it's going to be difficult to get it. So, yeah. So you've written a pamphlet or book. I mean, is this published or?
Well, I'll leave you with a couple copies of it, and we're probably going to aim to have it digitized and put up on the Meldon Law website in the reasonably near future. And basically, it's a collection of lessons learned that I call, 5 things that Florida veterans need to know.
Okay.
And so, without getting too into the weeds, basically, I talk about educational, benefits that folks need to know about, like what we just discussed. I talk about the employment context, which I'll circle back to that in a minute. I've got just another kind of one of these interesting stories about how, you learn in life by getting by getting your lip bloodied up a little bit here and there, right? I'll circle back to that in a moment. There's some things I've noticed about being a concealed carry permit holder, where your status as a veteran can impact that. And, it's supposed to be in a manner where FWC is supposed to treat you, I believe, with a little bit of deference by virtue of the fact you're a veteran. But, if you don't know that off the top, right off the bat, then, you're kind of without that leg up.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my case, they did, by the way. I had a good experience with
Good.
it. Yeah.
Good. That's great. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it
right?
was. Within, I think 2 weeks after I applied, there it was,
That's good.
So.
That's the way it should be. And then there's a couple of things that I've noticed through my practice as an attorney. See, what I liked about being a prosecutor was that, something terrible happened to someone. They were robbed or stabbed or shot or whatever, and then I could be the guy to go in there and get justice for them after something bad had happened when the chips are down. That's translated well over, for me, in the civil realm, into being a lawyer who helps people after they've been injured.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And that can take a number of forms, like on the way in, I saw just today, there was a grisly car accident, right near the exit of I-75 and I think 27, We might be hearing about that on the news within the next 20, 30 minutes because
So you came down I-75. You're a brave soul.
I mean, it looked like, there was a patch there where it looked like Fallujah in 2006, the twisted metal, folks laid out. It looked fairly grisly. And so, whether people get hurt, like that in car accidents and then genuinely and seriously need medical care for the rest of their lives, or whatever other forms, people find themselves getting scuffed up in. It's been a natural extension of what I liked about a prosecutor, is what I like about helping people in personal injuries. And I've noticed that when folks are veterans, especially if you're receiving care through the VA, then personal injury law is different too, because for a number of reasons. For one thing, if you go into the VA and you need your left leg amputated, and they take off the right one, like in the case of just an egregious, devastating mistake at the VA, it's significantly more difficult, and there's a number of additional hurdles that have been put in place explicitly for the purpose of making things harder.
Yeah, we got about a minute.
Okay.
Listen, well, in that minute, if veterans want to talk to you, can
Yes,
they
sir.
call you directly at Meldon Law Firm?
Yes, sir.
Your office is in Gainesville, but you do come down here as well.
We have an office. Our main office is in Gainesville. We have an office in Ocala.
Okay.
I come down here with regularity. I like it. I like it down here, and I like the culture.
A
and
little
I
bit
like,
more laid back.
I like the
than-
people.
than
Yes,
Gainesville.
I like the vibe of this community. So we have offices in both communities, and folks can find us through the website at www.meldonlaw.com, or just give us a ring at 352-373-8000.
And can they ask for you specifically, Dan?
ask for me directly, and-
particularly if they have a veteran-related issue they want to go ahead and tap into you?
if you're a veteran, I'm going to drop whatever I'm doing and take your call or get back to you because this is where my heart is.
Very good. Listen, hopefully this won't be the last time we meet. I told
Be great.
you we'll invite you to a bunch of stuff going on. You can always come back here, have your office, give me a call. I told you about Rick Hurley does a lot of our stuff for us too. I was hoping Rick would be here today. You guys could get to meet each other, but between you, I think we can help some veterans out.
We
I'm sure
appreciate all
can.
the great things y'all are doing in the community.
No, we appreciate it too. We appreciate the support we get here, particularly from people like her over there who does it day in and day out and doesn't get a nickel for it, and we appreciate it. Hey, listen, we got to go, guys. I want to remind you about Veterans Day next week. Also, our building dedication on the 8th at 10 o'clock over there at the new facility, the new Veterans Resource Center. Thank you for your service, and as I tell you every week, God bless America, everybody.
God bless America, my home, sweet
Commercial vehicles, it's time to drill down to the details. If you're not driving the new Sprinter Worker from Mercedes-Benz, your van just isn't cutting it. The Sprinter Worker takes up a notch, carrying up to 3,512 pounds.